You're watching United Rock Nations, and today we're here with SABATON.
Hello.
So, hello.
Hello.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to be here.
You're having a nice time in Paris.
Weather could be better.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's good.
It was sunny when we arrived. Now it's a little bit rainy, but we are sunny in our heads.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
the most important. Sunny inside. So we are here, sorry, to talk about your new album that's coming out in August. So you released Heroes 2 years ago, and it worked really well. So did you feel some pressure before going on studios?
Oh yes, there's always, every time. That's the biggest problem, you know. Is it gonna be good enough? And I mean, especially, I love writing music, but the beginning and the end of the songwriting process is always the hardest. Because in the beginning, maybe you don't have a song or the song, you know, that you really want to kickstart it. But then eventually you get there. But it's a lot of self-doubt. Oh, we can't do this anymore, you know. But I know, I'm familiar with the stages now, you know. It's like being, you know, anonymous alcoholic. There's 12 steps you have to go through, you know.
And when we just finished the album, it's also feels a little bit weird because we don't know how good it is. It takes a little time for us to know more about it, and it's complicated to select which songs are going to be played first live and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it is the relationship with an album. It's always complicated when it's just finished. So it takes a little while, and still now we don't have that good relationship with it. We don't know exactly what's gonna be like. So by the time we come, you know, on the big part of the European tour in early next year, then I think we will know a little bit more which songs we like to play live and stuff like that.
Yeah, what songs the fans want to hear. I mean, we still don't know that, and we don't know which songs are really great now and maybe boring in 5 years, and which songs, you know. It's, I guess, the only way to judge an album is to see what remains in the set list 5 years later.
Yeah, that's right. And you have already put out a single, The Last Stand. So you have already had some feedback from the fans.
Yeah.
So
well, we released the Lost Battalion, the first single, on June the 10th, and we played it first time the day after at Sweden Rock Festival. It was nice. Not so many people at the festival had heard it, so it was exciting. We didn't even announce that we're gonna play a new song, and we just watched the people and they were like, "What's happening now? This is something new." And we were excited to play it, you know, because it's now it's been 2 years of playing the same songs of the Heroes tour and stuff like that. So it's great to have something new. And the reaction of the new single is amazing. We were expecting a little bit different reaction because the single doesn't have a drum kit. It's a sampled sounds of war that build a drum kit where we have sounds of guns and bayonets and pistols instead of the normal drum sounds. And we were expecting people to realize this in a little different way. Everybody is like, wow, it sounds great, it sounds so cool, but people don't really figure out what it was.
Yeah, nobody realized, you know, not some people did.
People, of course,
people with military training who knows what a 50 caliber machine gun sounds like, they identified it. But most people were actually, oh, cool, different drum sound, this is amazing production. Other people were, well, this doesn't sound like a real drum kit. So
it sounds, and it sounds weird. It is supposed to sound weird.
Yeah.
Of course it is. It is not supposed to sound like drums, because there isn't any drums.
So it will work in live.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good experience.
We already played it 2 times and it worked very fine.
Okay, so
apparently
that's good.
Including
good for
here.
The future.
we played it here in Paris just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, in the download.
Yes.
Sorry. So you talk about the download. Maybe just a question like that. It's the only festival in France you have been booked for
we did
summer?
Hellfest this summer, yes. We did Hellfest before, for sure.
It was 2 years ago.
We
maybe,
played several festivals in France over the years, and this summer we played the Download Paris.
First edition.
And it was a really good experience for us. It was a huge crowd, amazing response from the crowd. Even though it was raining when we was playing, the fans were still very excited about it, and it was very welcoming. I mean, it felt like nobody really cared for the rain. It was just one of those really good, you know, enthusiastic, fantastic crowds, which Paris seems to bring out, you know. Every time we have come here, we have been like, wow, it's always a good night in Paris.
I still think they have the SABATON record for the most amount of crowd surfs during a SABATON show. Crazy stuff, you know.
Yeah, so
Sometimes not even the security guards, there aren't enough security guards to catch people. So we had me trying to sing at the same time and catch people so they don't fall. And, you know, we had our crew members, drum techs, running out to try and catch people because, you know,
Heavy traffic during
heavy
the
traffic,
concert.
yes, exactly.
So about the album, so this album doesn't talks about one subject but many different subjects. Can you talk a little bit
sure.
more about
There's 10 stories on this album. They all connect to famous and not so famous last stands in history. That is basically a desperate fight where few people stand against difficult odds, to say at least. And we found some of them immediately when we just decided upon the topic. Like, oh, there are some which is famous, which we found out, and then some we had to do a little bit deeper research. We got some ideas from fans, which we are very thankful for. And eventually we had to search the internet for the last ones, I guess. We enjoyed writing them because some of those, as I said, could be written directly from heart, from our minds, without doing much research. But some of them we had to dig very deep into, and some appeared to be more to the story than we first thought, which made them very exciting, and we figured out new ways to, you know, okay, we could have written it like this, but this is a cooler way of writing the song, because we write from different angles and stuff. And the angle which we might first initially had, maybe here, could have changed when we were doing more research. And
one of the things I think is kind of interesting with the album as well is we're not only staying in modern military history, we are spreading out almost 2,500 years here. We have the first representation would be Sparta, you know, the Battle of Thermopylae, 480 years before Christ. And then the latest one is 1988 in the Soviet-Afghan War. And we're visiting Africa, we're visiting Japan, you know, we're in Europe, so both time-wise and geographically, it's much more varied than normally for a SABATON album, which I think is a kind of a cool mix.
Yeah, that works really fine. So talking about some of the different songs in the album, can you maybe talk a little bit more about Rourke's Drift, about the Zulus and the British?
Yeah, actually what people don't, it was a surprise for us as well. I mean, Rourke's Drift is one of the more famous last stands, I guess. Not everybody's heard of it, but what we found out, this is the funny thing as well, that every time, you know, when we do research, we just scratch the surface first.
Yeah.
But when we're ready to write the lyrics, then we start to really dig deep. And it turns out that this battle takes place at a Swedish mission house.
Oh,
No,
we didn't knew that.
No, neither did we, you know, it was surprises, you know, and, you know, to read about it. Also, in many cases when it comes to last stands, I mean, we can only take a little bit of a glimpse of it, and it's usually the last stand, it's not going to happen in the beginning of the battle, is it? So, we only, you know, it feels like we can zoom in and paint a small picture maybe about the climax. At the end of it, and especially with Rourke's Drift, I mean, that battle in itself, it's kind of cool that they had biscuit boxes and they, you know, built fortifications about anything, but I mean, the British were very outnumbered. On the other hand, they had access to modern weapons in a way that the Zulus didn't. But when we were writing that, you know, story, we actually found that Rourke's Drift, this is actually a consequence of a battle that happened earlier that day and, you know, the day before on a mountain that made this possible. And sometimes I think that's a cool thing, that, I mean,
That's when you dig deeper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and for the songs, well, you have a very recognizable, sorry for the accent,
No?
tempo, we'll say rhythm, that makes you think of
Oh.
of a military battle.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's evolved over time, actually, that you can get this either machine driving force punch in our tempos, or you have the marching,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I mean, it depends on the mood of the song as well. But I mean, it's kind of it depends on the song where in time it is,
Yeah.
and what's the mood of the song, how we put the tempos there. But yeah, sure, I agree when you say that in 2 out of 3 songs there is some military element to the rhythm as well, you know.
Is like Shiroyama.
Yeah.
Also, it's a quite particular song because you talk about samurais, so very ancient battles.
Yeah.
And also, it has a special energy in the song. So yeah, it quite goes well with
With the topic.
with the subject
Yeah.
you're talking about. So.
Also, it's incorporated a bit in the music. I mean, the lyrics is talking about, I mean, in a sense, this is the end of the samurai and the samurai era. And we're doing metaphorical, you know, kind of comparisons. It's the nature of time that the old ways must give in. It's the nature of time that the new ways comes in sin always, you know. And there's also a thing with that song that the new meets the old, not only in the lyrics and, you know, the clash of cultures, but also listen, it's very much melodically and guitar riff wise pretty much an old school 80s, you know, pumping rock song, but with the synthesizers we added and some of the stuff going on in the effects, it gives it a bit of a futuristic or a more modern metal touch into it. And it's, I mean, we try, at least when it's possible, to have the music, no matter if it's the production or the instrumentation or the arrangement, represent the time and place we're in, actually.
And to talk about the way you work on the album, so it's you have again worked with Peter. Sorry if I pronounce
It's a tricky name to pronounce even for us.
Two little
Dots,
points in the A.
I mean, it's actually hard to pronounce even in Swedish. So.
One would say Peter.
Yeah, we call him Peter.
So he has been with you for since the beginning, almost the beginning.
He's not been a producer since the beginning. We started recording with his brother, actually. Not our first demos, but when we actually started making real demos and our, you know, first self-financed albums, we were recording with Peter's brother, Tommy. And he has his studio next door, you know. And I can remember, you know, back in the days, 10, 12 years ago, when we were recording and Peter came in and would give us tips. No matter if it was on the guitars or on the mix or whatever it could
Drums or something, yeah. He was always there coming with some little small tips and stuff, but not until 2012 he was producing full-time albums.
Yeah, I think the first time we worked real together was 2008 on The Art of War, because we recorded with Tommy, but Peter mixed it.
Okay.
And then Coat of Arms, Peter recorded the drums, but he was going on tour, so we couldn't do the rest. And then we did Carolus Rex, was actually the first time we worked, as Per said, together from the beginning to the end with Peter.
And talking about the band in general, you have been through 2 different lineups since the beginning. Is that something that make you change in some ways? Because I have heard it was for personal reasons, because touring. Sometimes it's a little bit. It takes you lots of time and your family and everything like that. So the band that you actually are now, do you think it's quite still the way it is, or maybe?
I hope it will be stable. I hope it will be stable. I mean, obviously, I mean, we were, you know, we were together for 12 years in the first lineup. Obviously, we added a one to the family in 2005. The keyboard player came in, but the rest of us were the same since late '99 until early 2012, I guess. So it's obviously we don't want too much of a change, you know.
Yeah.
But I hope the lineup is stable, because I think actually this is the best incarnation of Sabaton. Honestly, I'm not saying that, you know, promote it, but you know, looking at the show, seeing the videos, and especially when you're doing a live album, you know, you have to look back and how much edits must you do. Do you have to re-record anything because somebody made a mistake? And you know, there is nothing of that now. It's live. Yeah, maybe we played a mistake, but we leave it there because it is live, you know. Sometimes to the desperation of band members. I tell you, it's on the. I think it's on the Wacken DVD. And Chris makes a mistake. Was on the Carolus Rex solo. It's not even on a difficult part, but he slipped or you know something, and he's like, "Oh man, I want to change that, please, please, please." Like, come on, it's live. Nobody's gonna think you're a bad guitar player because of that, because it's you missed on the easy part, but you nailed the hard part afterwards, you know. So yeah, I mean, from both a musical and a personal standpoint at this moment, it feels good to come into the tour bus and see the rest of the guys. You know, you haven't seen them in a while. Want to give them a hug, have a beer, and talk. What's new with you? You know, and that's a good feeling. I think if you have a good personal relationship, it makes it much easier to have a good professional one. Yeah.
And you see that on stage, you know. With
But for different.
It's something that happened between two members of the band. You can feel it.
We're usually trying, you know, in a friendly way to destroy things for each other. You know, Tobbe doesn't have much of a sense of balance. You know, and we usually run around and like kick him. You know, he'll make a mistake in the guitar solo, and he notices. And, you know, he knows I'm going to do it now, so he jumps away. And then I remember this was in 2012, I believe. He was going to give it back to me. So he's going, you know, trying to kick me in the butt, and I catch his foot, and I just take it. But the problem is he has no balance, so he has falls on his ass in the middle of Cliffs of Gallipoli, and there he sits like, what the fuck happened? So
what happened?
Great atmosphere.
Yeah.
So, talking about the tour that will begin at the end of the year, so have you already got ideas on the way you were, because your shows are quite spectacular, I would say, with pyrotechnics and a big tanker.
Well, the only thing we know for sure at this moment is, I mean, we are currently talking about what kind of things we're gonna bring and what the show will be like. For sure, we know that the shows will be bigger. They're in bigger arenas. And this gives more options.
You got bigger stages, so you can put more stuff on it.
So, and we always wanted a big show.
Yeah.
And it always gives an extra dimension to the concert. And something more for the fans. And we're always big fans of seeing a nice show from a band. And not just a gig. You know, it's that can be nice with a tight, intense gig where there's absolutely nothing. And there's just a band and the crowd and everything is sweaty and things like that. But you ain't gonna get the same kind of feeling if you have a big arena and there's nothing happening. And if it's just an empty stage and a band and a crowd, you ain't gonna get the same feeling.
Yeah.
So it only works in smaller clubs. But if you really want to fill out a bigger arena, you have to think in more ways. I mean, we can't really... We bring the best songs we got.
Yeah.
And we bring the best out of ourselves. And then if we add some extra dimension to the atmosphere of the show, it's going to be in terms of show.
Yeah.
Good lights and videos, pyrotechnicians, tanks, whatever we can bring out.
And do you have, I think you have to maybe modify a little bit the show when you go indoor or outdoor?
Yeah. I mean, there's also a bit, we're not trying to be secretive. It's because we are still trying things out. We're looking at sketches, and also there's also different laws and regulations.
Yeah.
If you're talking especially with pyros, a certain gas cannot be taken into another country, so we can't use it. Every venue has different laws
Yeah.
and regulation. This is an old place, it has wooden roof. Okay, no flamethrowers, you know.
Yeah.
So we have to look at, you know, the whole tour and see what is possible on every single venue, stage-wise, regulations,
Yeah.
and, you know, and see how can we make this tour as good as possible for as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And the good thing is most people or customs don't have a problem with our tanks, even though they should, you know. So we cannot bring this gas bottle, but a tank is okay. Yeah, okay, cool. Congratulations.
It's the word of today. And just to finish, you have a very special relation with your fans during the shows. Also, if I remember well, you gave your sunglasses in Alcatraz to a small kid.
Yeah, but I tipped them back.
Yeah,
I found
I
them.
took
I found them backstage and you know, caught them. No. Yeah. If I can do that, you know, and I see somebody who's been, it could be somebody who's young. Maybe I can see that. Oh, they're at their first metal show. I want to give them a souvenir as a memory.
Yeah.
Or it could also be the girl or the guy in the front who was standing there from the beginning of the show, singing along to every word.
Yeah.
And working, you know, harder than we work together. And then I think you should have these. You know, it's a kind of a cool thing to do. I think it's a nice gesture on our part, and it also makes me so happy to see how that thing makes other people happy.
Yeah. It was, and in the Hellfest, you also you change your
Vest.
your vest, yeah, with a fan.
Yeah, that was self-preservation though, because I had that one for 100 or 200 shows. It smells like shit, and this guy is offering me a new clean one. Like, yeah, take trade, motherfucker. You know, we're good.
It was a good deal.
Yeah, for me, yes. For him, maybe he changed his mind when he smelled it. Like, oh no, I want mine back.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time,
Thank
for
you.
answering all the questions, and the best of luck for your album and the tour and everything that's coming.
Thank you.
with it.
Thank you
It's
so
gonna be
much.
fun.
Thank you very much.
Bonjour, France. Here we are, Sabaton here. We are currently in France. And we just got a new album out, which is called The Last Stand. And you can check out that. And you can follow us here on United Rock Nations.